Most people go to bed every night without giving their eyes a second thought. They turn off the light, close their eyes, and assume that sleep is doing everything it needs to do. But what if I told you that for millions of people, particularly those over the age of 50, the hours between midnight and 6 in the morning are actually the most damaging hours for their eyes? Not the hours spent staring at screens, not the hours in bright sunlight, the hours of sleep themselves. And the reason this is happening is not about how much sleep you are getting. It is about what your eyes are not getting before you go to bed. Vision loss is one of the most feared consequences of aging. Study after study shows that losing eyesight ranks among the top health concerns of older adults, second only to cancer in terms of what people fear most about getting older. And yet, most people do almost nothing to protect their vision until they are already sitting in an ophthalmologist's office hearing words they were not prepared for. Macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy. These are not conditions that appear overnight. They build slowly, over years and decades, accelerated by nutritional deficiencies that are entirely preventable. Today, I am going to explain exactly why nighttime is when your eyes age fastest, what is happening inside your eyes while you sleep that determines whether your vision stays sharp for decades or deteriorates ahead of schedule. I'm going to tell you which specific nutrients your eyes desperately need before you go to bed. And I'm going to tell you exactly which foods contain those nutrients so that you can start protecting your vision starting tonight. This is information that eye specialists know, but rarely take the time to explain to their patients. And I believe you deserve to know all of it. I am Dr. Calara, and welcome to Health Hub. Every week on this channel, we bring you real, evidence-based medical knowledge that you can actually use to protect your health and the health of your family. If you are not yet subscribed, please do that right now because we release new videos every week, and every one of them is designed to give you the kind of information your doctor wishes they had more time to share with you. Stay with me all the way through today because what I share toward the end about one specific nighttime food combination has changed the health trajectory of many of my own patients. Let me start by explaining the anatomy of why nighttime matters so specifically for eye health. Your eyes are among the most metabolically active organs in your entire body. The retina, which is the thin layer of light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eye that converts light into the electrical signals your brain interprets as vision, has one of the highest metabolic rates of any tissue in the human body. It requires an extraordinary amount of energy, oxygen, and nutritional support to function properly. During the day, your eyes are constantly working. The photoreceptor cells in your retina, the rods and the cones, are continuously absorbing light and converting it into neural signals. This process generates a significant amount of metabolic waste and oxidative byproducts. Free radicals, which are unstable molecules that damage cellular structures, are produced in large quantities during normal visual processing. Your body has antioxidant defense systems to neutralize these free radicals, but those systems depend entirely on having adequate supplies of specific nutrients. Here is where nighttime becomes critical. While you sleep, your body enters its most intensive repair and regeneration mode. This is true for every organ, but it is especially important for the eyes. The retinal pigment epithelium, a layer of cells that sits just beneath the photoreceptors and supports their function, works most actively during sleep to clear away the metabolic debris that accumulated during the day. The photoreceptor outer segments, the parts of the rod and cone cells that actually absorb light, are partially shed and renewed during sleep in a process that requires specific nutrients to complete properly. The blood vessels that supply the retina and the optic nerve also undergo repair and maintenance processes during sleep. The aqueous humor, the fluid that fills the front of the eye and maintains proper pressure, is produced and drained in a cycle that continues through the night. And the lens of the eye, which focuses light onto the retina and which gradually yellows and stiffens with age to cause cataracts, depends on overnight antioxidant activity to slow the protein cross-linking that makes it cloudy. All of these overnight processes share one thing in common. They require raw materials, specific vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fatty acids that your body cannot produce on its own and can only obtain from what you eat. When those raw materials are not available, the overnight repair processes are incomplete. Day after day, night after night, week after week, the damage accumulates. The metabolic waste is not fully cleared. The photoreceptors are not fully renewed. The antioxidant defenses run low. And gradually, the structures of the eye age faster than they should. This is the core of what I mean when I say your eyes are aging faster at night. It is not that sleep itself is harmful. Sleep is essential. It is that if you go to bed nutritionally depleted, your eyes spend those critical overnight repair hours trying to work without the tools they need. And the cumulative effect of years of nutritionally incomplete nights is accelerated vision aging. Now let me tell you about the specific nutrients that matter most for overnight eye repair, because understanding what they do will help you understand exactly why the foods I recommend at the end of this video are so important. The first and arguably most important nutrient for eye health at night is lutein. Lutein is a carotenoid pigment, a plant-based antioxidant that your body cannot synthesize on its own. It must come from food. Lutein accumulates specifically in the macula, which is the central portion of the retina responsible for your sharp, detailed color vision. The macula appears yellow when viewed through an ophthalmoscope, and that yellow color comes almost entirely from accumulated lutein and its companion compound, zeaxanthin. This yellow pigment is not decorative. It serves as a powerful filter that absorbs high-energy blue light before it can damage the photoreceptors. And it acts as a direct antioxidant, neutralizing the free radicals generated during visual processing. Research on lutein is compelling and consistent. Studies show that people with the highest blood levels of lutein have significantly lower rates of age-related macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. The age-related eye disease study, which is one of the largest and most rigorous eye health research projects ever conducted, found that supplementing with lutein and zeaxanthin reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by 25% in people who already had intermediate stages of the disease. For prevention in healthy eyes, the evidence is even more encouraging. Lutein is particularly valuable at night because the overnight period is when the macula replenishes its stores of macular pigment after the depletion that occurs during a day of visual processing. When lutein is available in the bloodstream during those overnight hours, the macular pigment density is maintained or restored. When it is not available, the pigment density gradually declines with age, leaving the photoreceptors progressively more vulnerable to light damage the next day. The second critical nutrient is zeaxanthin, which works in close partnership with lutein. While lutein is distributed throughout the macula, zeaxanthin is concentrated in the very center of the fovea, which is the tiny spot of highest visual acuity at the center of the macula. Together, lutein and zeaxanthin form the macular pigment that protects the most precious and irreplaceable photoreceptors in your retina. The ratio of these two compounds in the eye is carefully regulated, and both need to be present in adequate amounts for the macular pigment to function optimally. Foods rich in one are often rich in the other, which is why the best approach is to focus on food sources rather than trying to balance individual supplements. The third essential nutrient is vitamin A and its precursor, beta-carotene. You have probably heard that carrots are good for your eyes and that this has something to do with vitamin A. The connection is very real and very well understood. Vitamin A is the direct precursor to a molecule called retinal, which is literally incorporated into the photopigment molecules inside your rod cells. Rod cells are the photoreceptors responsible for low light and night vision. They are the cells that allow you to see in a dimly lit room, to navigate safely at night, to detect motion in your peripheral vision. Without adequate vitamin A, the rod cells cannot produce sufficient photopigment, and night blindness results. Night blindness, an inability to see well in low light conditions, is actually one of the earliest symptoms of vitamin A deficiency, and it is far more common in older adults than most people realize. Mild vitamin A insufficiency, not full deficiency but levels below optimal, is associated with accelerated deterioration of night vision with age. Because the rod cells are working continuously through the night to maintain your ability to see in darkness, and because the turnover of photopigment in rod cells is an ongoing biochemical process, having adequate vitamin A available in the bloodstream during nighttime hours is genuinely important for maintaining rod cell function. The fourth nutrient is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA, which stands for docosahexaenoic acid. DHA is present in extraordinarily high concentrations in the retina. In fact, the photoreceptor outer segments, the parts of the rod and cone cells that actually capture light, have some of the highest concentrations of DHA of any tissue in the human body. DHA is not just present as a structural component. It plays active roles in the visual cycle, in the membrane fluidity that allows photoreceptor proteins to function properly, in neuroprotection of the retinal cells and the optic nerve, and in the resolution of inflammation within ocular tissues. Research has shown that DHA deficiency leads to impaired photoreceptor function and increased susceptibility to light-induced retinal damage. Studies in aging populations have found that higher omega-3 intake is associated with reduced risk of age-related macular degeneration, reduced intraocular pressure, which is the primary risk factor for glaucoma, and slower progression of dry eye disease, which is itself a significant contributor to visual discomfort and long-term corneal damage. The retina's demand for DHA is continuous, and the overnight repair processes that renew photoreceptor outer segments require it specifically. The fifth nutrient is vitamin C. Your eyes contain some of the highest concentrations of vitamin C found anywhere in the body. The aqueous humor, the fluid inside the eye, has vitamin C levels many times higher than those found in the blood. This is not accidental. The eye is an oxidatively stressful environment, and vitamin C is one of the primary antioxidants that protects ocular tissues from oxidative damage. The lens of the eye is particularly dependent on vitamin C. Research has shown that the protein structures in the lens that must remain perfectly transparent to allow light through are protected from the oxidative cross-linking that causes clouding and cataracts by high concentrations of vitamin C. Studies have found that people with higher dietary vitamin C intake have significantly lower rates of cataracts. One major study found that women with the highest vitamin C intake had a 77% lower risk of early lens opacity compared to those with the lowest intake. Vitamin C levels in the eye fluctuate with dietary intake, and because the body cannot store large amounts of it, maintaining consistent daily intake is important. Consuming vitamin C-rich foods in the evening means those antioxidant levels are available during the overnight hours, when the lens and other ocular tissues are undergoing their repair processes. The sixth important nutrient for eye health is zinc. Zinc is present in very high concentrations in the retina and the choroid, which is the vascular layer beneath the retina. Zinc plays a critical role in the activity of several enzymes involved in the visual cycle and in the function of retinal pigment epithelium cells. It is also essential for the metabolism of vitamin A in the retina. Without adequate zinc, vitamin A cannot be effectively transported from the liver to the retina, or properly utilized once it arrives. This means that even someone with good vitamin A intake may have suboptimal retinal function if their zinc levels are insufficient. The age-related eye disease study that I mentioned earlier also found that zinc supplementation, in combination with antioxidant vitamins, significantly reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration. Zinc deficiency is more common in older adults than in younger people because zinc absorption from food decreases with age, and many older adults consume diets that are lower in the best zinc sources. Red meat, shellfish, nuts, and seeds are the richest dietary sources of zinc. The seventh nutrient I want to highlight is vitamin E. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects the cell membranes of photoreceptors and other retinal cells from oxidative damage. Because the photoreceptor outer segments are extraordinarily rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are highly susceptible to oxidative damage, having adequate vitamin E present in those membranes is essential for their structural integrity. Vitamin E works in a complementary fashion with vitamin C, which regenerates vitamin E after it has been oxidized in the course of neutralizing free radicals. This is why the combination of both vitamins together provides greater protection than either one alone. Now I want to tell you specifically about the foods you should consider eating in the evening, in the hours before bed, to give your eyes the nutritional support they need for overnight repair. And I want to be clear that I am not suggesting you eat a large, heavy meal before sleeping, because that has its own disadvantages for digestion and sleep quality. What I am talking about is making thoughtful choices with your dinner and possibly a light evening snack that prioritize the nutrients your eyes will use through the night. The single most powerful food you can eat for eye health, particularly in the evening, is eggs, specifically the yolk. Egg yolks contain lutein and zeaxanthin in a highly bioavailable form, meaning the body absorbs them significantly more efficiently than the lutein and zeaxanthin found in most plant sources. This is because lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble compounds, and the fat in egg yolks facilitates their absorption. Eggs also provide zinc, vitamin A as retinol, which is the direct form the body uses, and vitamin E. 1 or 2 eggs with your dinner or as an evening snack provides a meaningful dose of multiple eye protective nutrients simultaneously. Leafy green vegetables are the next essential category. Spinach, kale, collard greens, and Swiss chard are among the richest sources of lutein and zeaxanthin in the entire food supply. A single cup of cooked spinach contains enough lutein and zeaxanthin to meaningfully support macular pigment density. Cooking these greens actually improves the availability of lutein compared to eating them raw, and consuming them with a source of healthy fat, olive oil, avocado, or the fat in eggs or fish, significantly enhances absorption. A dinner that combines leafy greens with a healthy fat source and a protein like fish or eggs is genuinely one of the most eye-protective meals you can construct. Fatty fish deserves a prominent place in your evening meals several times per week. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, trout, and herring are among the richest dietary sources of DHA, the omega-3 fatty acid that is so critical for retinal structure and function. Eating fatty fish for dinner means DHA levels are elevated in your bloodstream through the night, available for the photoreceptor renewal processes that occur during sleep. Sardines deserve special mention because they are also an excellent source of zinc and vitamin D, and they are affordable and widely available. Sweet potatoes and orange and yellow vegetables are excellent sources of beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A as needed. Sweet potatoes, carrots, butternut squash, and red bell peppers are all rich in beta-carotene. Including one of these as part of your evening meal provides the precursor your rod cells need to maintain their photopigment through the night. Red and orange bell peppers also provide extraordinarily high amounts of vitamin C, with a single red bell pepper containing more vitamin C than most citrus fruits. For vitamin C specifically, kiwi fruit is one of the most concentrated sources available, and it makes an ideal evening snack. Kiwis also contain zeaxanthin, and research has found associations between regular kiwi consumption and reduced cataract risk. Strawberries, citrus fruits, and papaya are also excellent vitamin C sources that work well as part of an evening meal or a light dessert. Consuming these in the evening rather than only in the morning means vitamin C levels are maintained through the nighttime hours when the lens is depending on it for antioxidant protection. Blueberries are worth mentioning separately because they contain a unique class of antioxidants called anthocyanins that have specific benefits for eye health beyond what the standard vitamins provide. Anthocyanins have been shown in research to improve night vision, to reduce eye fatigue, to support the health of the blood vessels supplying the retina, and to have neuroprotective effects on the retinal ganglion cells whose axons form the optic nerve. Blueberries, blackberries, and bilberries, which are a European relative of the blueberry, are all rich in these compounds. A small bowl of blueberries in the evening is one of the simplest and most enjoyable things you can do for your night vision. Nuts and seeds, particularly almonds, sunflower seeds, and hazelnuts, provide vitamin E in meaningful amounts and make excellent evening snacks. A small handful of almonds provides a significant portion of the daily vitamin E requirement, along with zinc and healthy fats that enhance the absorption of fat-soluble eye nutrients. Pumpkin seeds are particularly rich in zinc and also provide lutein and zeaxanthin. Walnuts provide a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that, while less directly usable than the DHA from fish, contributes to the overall omega-3 status of the body. I also want to mention dark chocolate with a high cocoa content, not as a primary eye health food, but because it contains flavonoids that research has associated with improved blood flow to the retina and optic nerve, and because a small square of dark chocolate with 70% or higher cocoa content in the evening is something that many people find satisfying as part of a routine. The psychological benefit of having something enjoyable as part of a health-promoting evening habit should not be underestimated when it comes to maintaining consistency over time. Now I want to address something that many people wonder about, which is whether taking supplements is sufficient and whether the food choices I am recommending are really necessary. The honest answer is nuanced. Supplements can play a useful role, particularly for people who have already been diagnosed with macular degeneration or who have strong family histories of serious eye disease. The AREDS2 supplement formula, which contains specific doses of lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc, has demonstrated evidence of benefit for slowing progression in people with intermediate macular degeneration. If you are in that category, supplementation with the AREDS2 formula, as directed by your eye doctor, is genuinely supported by evidence. However, for most people who are focused on prevention rather than treatment of existing disease, whole foods provide eye protective nutrients in combinations, ratios, and alongside other compounds that research consistently suggests are more beneficial than isolated supplements. The bioavailability of lutein from egg yolks is higher than from most supplements. The DHA from fatty fish comes with other omega-3s and fat-soluble vitamins that work together. The vitamin C from whole fruits comes with bioflavonoids that enhance its function. And eating a diet rich in these foods also protects you against the cardiovascular risk factors, diabetes, and hypertension, that are themselves major contributors to vision loss. I want to close by telling you something that I tell every patient who comes to see me with concerns about their vision. The choices you make tonight matter. Not because one evening of good eating will transform your eye health, but because your eyes are repairing and renewing themselves every single night, and whether those repair processes have the raw materials they need is determined entirely by what you eat. One good evening becomes a habit. A habit becomes a pattern. A pattern maintained over months and years becomes dramatically different eye health outcomes. The people who arrive in their 70s and 80s with sharp, clear vision, who can still read without glasses, who still have the full richness of color vision and the ability to see the stars at night and the faces of their grandchildren with clarity, those people are not just lucky. In most cases, they are the people who consistently supplied their eyes with what they needed, who included leafy greens and eggs and fatty fish and colorful vegetables in their regular diet, who took their eye health seriously before they had any reason to be worried. You now know what the eyes need at night. You know which foods provide it. You know why the overnight hours are so critical for visual aging. The only thing left is to use this knowledge. Start this evening. Add a handful of spinach to your dinner. Have 2 eggs. Open a can of sardines. Eat a kiwi before bed. These small choices, repeated consistently, are some of the most powerful things you can do to preserve the gift of clear vision for as long as possible. Please share this video with the seniors in your life, with your parents, your grandparents, anyone who has mentioned worry about their vision or who has a family history of macular degeneration or cataracts. The information in this video could genuinely make a difference in how their vision ages. And subscribe to Dr. Calara Health Hub if you have not already, so you never miss a video. Every week, we bring you this kind of honest, evidence-based health knowledge that is designed to help you live a longer, healthier, fuller life. I am Dr. Calara, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of your health because no one else will do it for you.